Hello and welcome to another anime lore and theory video. I'm Shergok, your host, and today we are going to take a closer look at why only the 6th floor of the Great Tomb of Nazarick has 2 floor guardians, when everybody else has just 1 at the most. But before we're going to take a closer look at any of this, let me quickly thank my Patreons for supporting this channel, and say my thanks to all users of the YouTube thanks function for making one-time donations. And with that said, let's take a look at the topic at hand. The entire Great Tomb of Nazarick is based on a dungeon that Lord Nishiki and Rai discovered, and was then conquered by the predecessor organization of Ainsul Grown, called Nine's Own Goal, and expanded and built up into the guild base that we know today. And still, the Great Tomb, even though it had been expanded and restructured, is still laid out like a dungeon, with different levels and floors. There's an area with vicious monsters and treacherous pitfalls, with hidden paths and all sorts of obstacles. There are mini-bosses, so-called area guardians, who are sometimes even stronger than the actual main antagonist of the entire floor, the floor boss, the so-called floor guardian, as it is the case with Gurren, the magma slime, and Demiurge. And Nazarick generally maintains this structure, and the only other exception is that Shelty Bloodfallen controls and guards 3 floors instead of just 1, since these floors serve as a bulwark to split up attackers and eliminate them individually, so a bit of strategic depth is needed for this. That's also why each of the first 3 levels looks almost the same and is very simple designed, because it is expected that a lot of it will get damaged, and therefore the leaders of the Great Tomb, the 41 players, didn't want to invest the efforts in decorating these levels and paying for a huge amount of reparation cost when their elegant designs are trashed time and time again. But after that, Nazarick's layouts follow a very similar pattern, and even the 8th level, where the main force of the Great Tomb lurks, has only 1 floor guardian. So why does the 6th level have 2 of them? And the answer is partially simple and a bit more complex later on. And the easy part of the answer is that Buku Buku Shagama, the creator and mother of Aura and Maru, the twin guardians on the 6th floor, is not an only child, but also has a little brother, namely Peru Ronchino, who was also a member of the Great Tomb of Nazarick and who created Sheltier. And Buku Buku Shagama, being his older sister, behaved quite dominantly and with a fair amount of authority towards her younger brother. If Peru Ronchino, for example, disrupted discussions about looting and leveling by stating that it would be the best to just go out and hunt lootly dressed enemies like harpies, then she would shut him up decisively. And this sibling dynamic and rivalry was also reflected in the 2 floor guardians, because just like Peru Ronchino and Buku Buku Shagama, Maru and Aura are also siblings. And just as Buku Buku Shagama sees herself as the elder and thus more authoritative part of the sibling pair, she endowed Aura with more authority and elevated the dynamic between the twin floor guardians so that meek and insecure Maru essentially has to obey the strong-willed and assertive Aura. So this was more of a somewhat subtle, or rather not so subtle, or rather obvious diss towards her own brother. And with that said, I should probably also mention here that despite their arguments and differences, Buku Buku Shagama and Peru Ronchino actually love each other quite dearly. And by that I mean like normal siblings and not like the ones you see in other animes or stories by George R.R. Martin. And when push comes to shove, they will stick together. Again, like normal siblings. But all of this still doesn't explain why Nazarick released the additional resources to allocate 100 guild levels for a 2nd guardian. After all, the 41 members of the Great Tomb were quite upset or rather the 40 other members of the Great Tomb were quite upset when Tabuda Smaragdina, the creator of Albedo, without asking, simply created dozens of creatures with levels ranging from 13 to 19 just to use them as cell decoration for the cell of her older sister within the frozen prison. And it could of course be that Buku Buku Shagama didn't create NPCs or area guardians elsewhere, or that she acquired the levels for Maru through real money purchases. But I think all of this has more to do with Nazarick's larger defense strategy. Individual scouts were always eliminated by Shelty and Ainz, so that these scouts always fight against the same people and don't learn the matchup of the other guild members after dozens of battles. Larger raid groups with half a dozen members or more were also often intercepted by parts of the 41 members directly at the entrance of Nazarick, and the first 3 levels, the first floors, serve as a bulwark to disperse medium-sized raid groups. But many of the teleportation traps and the exit of the 5th floor lead directly into the amphitheater on the 6th floor, or 6th level if we again stay in the game terminology. And thus, necessarily, a strong defense and more numbers are required to also intercept groups where not just 1 or 2, but still half a dozen to several dozen raiders were still alive. Weakened of course by the other 5 floors, but still in superior numbers. And besides the golems sitting in the ranks of the arena and serving as spectators, and the 41 members of the Great Tomb who also like to fight here in the arena against these raiders, as Ainz did here against Team Foresight, these floor guardians are needed in order to handle larger numbers of enemies. And that's where Aura and Maru come in, because Aura is on one hand min-maxed to detect hidden enemies with her ranger skills. Hidden enemies who might want to flee or to penetrate even deeper into the Great Tomb. And on the other hand, she is a one-woman army thanks to her many beasts that she can control and summon, none of which are as strong as a fully equipped level 100 player, but even level 100 players, if they are running out of mana and health, can be defeated by high-level summons like Fenrir, Aura's wolf, especially when more of her summons join the battle, in addition to just her and her wolf. So Aura provides a large number of additional fighters, and Maru also has 2 high-level dragons that can be summoned, and that were won in a lucky hit in a gacha game, so they are essentially a lootbox reward tied to Maru. So besides his own formidable fighting power, Maru also controls 2 additional powerful fighters. 2 fighters who can fly, and thus cannot be hit by his earthquake-based attacks. Because while Maru is very good at dueling, and has the ability to unleash an enormous energy ray called Petit Catastrophe, he is primarily there to deal area of effect damage to all opponents, as his dragon can fly, and Aura can also handle earth-based or natural-based attacks quite well, thanks to her being a ranger. But the enemies that come after them will all be hit by the same attack, which effectively decimates and weakens dozens of players, taking out some of them that are already running low on health with just one single attack from just one single being. And then afterwards, Aura, her beasts, and the 2 dragons can pick them off with relative ease, now that they have been weakened even more, and some of them have already been defeated by the initial strike. In other words, Aura and Maru are also there, to even without the help of Ainz, Ulbert and company, to eliminate entire groups of weakened and battle-weary enemies. Aura tracks them down and keeps them in check with her beasts, and Maru inflicts area damage to them, so that, even with their relatively low numbers of just 2, these 2 twin guardians can take on entire weakened raid groups by themselves, thanks to their area of effect attacks, thanks to their scouting abilities, thanks to the enemy being weakened, and of course, thanks to all of their summons. And of course, if things go south, the golems of the amphitheater can always step in and aid in the fight. And it is this combination that probably justified Aura and Maru being twin guardians, and that the 6th and largest level of the Great Tomb could have 2 guardians instead of just 1. And with that said, now it's your turn. What are your thoughts about the twin floor guardians? Let me know it down in the comment section. And while you type, I say thank you very much for watching, and special thanks to Ada Daddy Ada, ASK, Bad Guy Ye, Bad Burrito 316, Biza, Ben C, Brandon D, Chrissy, Crowley 0221, Sia, Crystal Prime, Dead Slime, Death is Mercy, Deathless Dragonlord, Demon Xenomorph 1987, Devin Downen, Ding Dong, Dragonlord Placido Saxophone, Duckwagon, Dunkler Krieger, Dystopia II, Enigmatic Unicorn, Feral Shivan, Guy with That Hat, Hector Marino, Hoss, Huster, Jacob G, Jana B, Jason, J. Morris, Chromius, Kyle R, Lee K. Long, Legendarius, Lelouch Britannia with a Mustache, Lexus Fox, Lord Nishikian Rai, Lord Touch Me, Lovewazer, Merovec, Mr. Shoes, Mr. Tweaker, Michael R, Michael Y, Nope, Oh Hell No, Normal Toad, Oh Kill, Overlord General Gasper, Paddy Pantom, Personage, Primus 11, Rhinomere, Cune Caracos P, Shergox's Daddy, Shadow Lightning Wolf, Shrine Keeper, Sir Axolotl, Super Tier Magic Batista Bomb, Supreme Cheese, Staris, Ted, Texas Deer, The Orc Warboss, Rock Ed Smasher, T.E. Wang, Vash Hawkeye, Vegito 27, Venture Fanatic, Wilhelm, Xenokai, and Zonagon. Thanks guys. Anyway, have a nice day, and I hope to see you all again soon on my next video.